All right, let's get right into it. When you're facing a really tough problem, what's your first instinct? It's to jump in and start looking for a solution, right? But what if that's the very first mistake we all make? We're going to explore why the real secret to solving a difficult problem isn't about finding the answer. It's about finding the right question.
I mean, come on, we've all been there. You and your team spend weeks, maybe even months, rolling out what seems like a brilliant solution, only to watch it completely fall flat. And you're just left there scratching your head thinking, where on earth did we go wrong? Well, odds are the real mistake happened way back at the very beginning.
And look, this isn't just a hunch. Some fascinating research by Paul Nutt over at Ohio State University found that more than half, over 50% of business decisions just fail. They don't get the results they were supposed to. And the biggest reason why? It's that feeling of pressure that we have to act now, which causes us to sprint right past the most critical step of all, properly understanding the problem in the first place.
This is exactly what we're talking about, what we call the rush to solve. It's this knee-jerk reaction that feels super productive in the moment, but in reality, it often completely closes us off from finding solutions that are actually innovative and, that actually last.
So how do we fight this urge? The answer is something called problem framing. And probably the best way to think about it is to imagine you're a photographer. You've got your camera, a wide-angle lens is going to give you a totally different feeling, a different story than a zoom lens, right? By changing your perspective, you see the exact same scene in brand new ways. That is exactly what good problem framing does for you. The good news is we don't have to just guess our way through this. There's actually a structured roadmap we can use to make sure we're doing it right. It's called the E5 framework. So here it is. The framework has 5 key phases, and each one is specifically designed to stop us from falling into that rush to solve trap. We're going to walk through every single one. Expand, examine, empathize, elevate, and envision. Let's kick things off with phase 1, expand. This is all about pushing back on our first assumptions. And to see how this really works in practice, let's follow the story of a company we'll call Omega Soundscapes, who make high-end headphones. So here's the situation. Omega's sales have been sliding for 2 quarters straight. The leadership team gets together and they immediately jump to a conclusion. Their initial problem frame is, we raised our prices last year, so our headphones must be too expensive now. Seems pretty logical, doesn't it? But it's also a massive, massive assumption. So instead of just running with that idea, they did something really smart called frame storming. They pulled together a diverse group of people from across the company, and their one job was to challenge that initial idea. And look what happened. This process opened the floodgates. It helped them generate a whole new set of possible problems. Suddenly, it wasn't just about price. Maybe their customers had changed, or maybe their product quality had slipped. This just shows how you can break out of that tunnel vision.
Okay, so now they have this fantastic list of possibilities. Omega's next move is to investigate. And this brings us right into the next 2 phases, examine and empathize, which are all about digging beneath the surface to find the real root causes.
For the examine phase, the framework uses something called the iceberg model. It's a perfect analogy. We all know most of an iceberg is hidden underwater, right? Well, it's the same with big problems. The real causes are almost never what you see right on the surface. You've got to look deeper, from the surface level events, down to the patterns of what's been happening over time, to the underlying structures causing those patterns, and all the way down to the core beliefs, the mental models that are driving the whole system. So what did Omega find when they took a deep dive? Well, they spotted a clear pattern, a serious drop in brand loyalty. The structure causing this? Aha! A new manufacturing process, which was supposed to save money, had actually tanked the product's quality. And the mental model at the very bottom of it all? The company was so caught up in its own hype, so convinced its product was superior that it had gotten lazy and figured it didn't need regular quality checks anymore. This was it. The problem wasn't just price, it was a fundamental breakdown in quality. But hey, data and processes are only half the picture. To really get it, Omega had to do the next step. Empathize. They had to connect with the people involved. This whole phase is about seeing the problem through the eyes of everyone it affects. Your customers, your partners, even your investors. By building out these empathy maps, Omega uncovered this huge disconnect. For instance, customers might have said, it's too expensive,
But what they were thinking was, Omega's losing its touch, and they were feeling frustrated, even betrayed. The retailers, they were getting anxious. The shareholders, they were getting nervous. And this led to the real light bulb moment. The issue wasn't just price, it was the price-to-quality ratio. Customers felt like they just weren't getting their money's worth anymore. So with this incredibly deep understanding of the what and the why, it was finally time to shift gears and move to the final two phases, elevate and envision. This is where you zoom out to see the big picture before you build a real plan for the future.
The elevate phase is all about connecting the dots. You start asking, okay, how does this one problem connect to everything else we do as an organization? It's kind of like zooming out on Google Maps. You stop looking at one specific street and you start to see how it connects to the whole city, the whole state, the whole country. And by looking at their organization through 4 different frames, Omega found that these issues were everywhere. Structurally, their R&D and marketing teams were living in separate worlds, not talking to each other. From a human resources angle, the sales team was totally burned out. Politically, the finance team's push for profits was clashing with what sales needed to do. And symbolically, there was this giant canyon between how the company saw itself as top quality and how customers saw it as overpriced. And at last, we get to Envision. And this phase uses a really cool and powerful technique called backcasting. Now, instead of starting from today and trying to guess your way forward, you do the opposite. You start by defining in detail your perfect future state. And then you work backward from that ideal future to map out the exact steps you need to take to make it a reality.
And this is what Omega's final plan looked like. It's not just one fix. It's a comprehensive, multi-stage roadmap that was built directly from every single insight they gathered. You can see how it addresses everything they found: immediate actions on quality, short-term fixes for their internal teams, and long-term plans for new products and rebuilding their community.
So, after watching Omega's whole journey from a simple, wrong assumption to a powerful, actionable plan, the focus really shifts back to you. How can you take this way of thinking and apply it to the challenges you're facing?
I think this quote from Albert Einstein just says it all, doesn't it? The real value isn't in how fast you can come up with an answer, it's in the depth of your understanding of the question. You've got to spend your time falling in love with the problem. And one last really important thing to remember, this is not some rigid step-by-step checklist. It's a flexible loop. It's messy. As you learn more, you might have to jump back and expand your frames again, or re-examine something you thought you understood. Because the ultimate goal isn't just to solve this one problem, it's to build a whole culture of curiosity, of learning, and of constantly getting better. So I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. Think about the big challenges you're facing right now at work, in your life, wherever. What is the one problem that you're going to tackle differently now? The one that could really benefit from you taking a step back, changing the lens, and truly understanding it before you even think about trying to solve it. What will you reframe first?